Hey guys, I am back, and today I am giving you my top 10 art books that you should own. Now, granted, these are from my personal collection, which if you haven't seen my collection video, definitely check it out. It is awesome, or at least I think my collection is awesome. So I pulled the top 10 books out of my collection. Now, I don't own everything, so eventually as I own more or whatnot, I will update this video, but these are the top 10 books that I own that I think you should own, so let's jump right into it. The first one, this is a bit controversial because I really don't like this book for certain reasons, but it is Once Upon a Dream. Now this is kind of the art book of Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty, and the reason I would say to own this is because there really isn't a definitive collection of art books or art for Sleeping Beauty. So for that reason, I think it's really important that you own this. Really the first 100 pages of this book are Sleeping Beauty. And it's so interesting, and you learn, I mean, this is the time of the 9 old men, and they worked on this film, and just their designs and just the animation and the sketches in here are incredible, along with the history. Now, granted, the whole second half of the book, I haven't even actually gotten through entirely, but I would buy this one just for that first half because it's so incredible. They're not going to release anything like it again. I highly doubt they're just going to release a Art of Sleeping Beauty book anytime soon. So this is basically as close as you're going to get. All right, the next one is The Art of Puss in Boots, which is interesting because I've never actually seen this movie. I know I'm an embarrassment basically to all the animation community. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go live in exile now. But all joking aside, this book is really awesome because the character Puss, or Puss, has already been established in the Shrek films. This is one of those spin-off franchises which DreamWorks loves to do. And so we get to focus just on creating new characters and world building. This film is set in a different era, and so it's really cool because we get a lot of world building and period film, you know, just discovery. And so for that reason I really liked it. There were a lot of landscapes in this book opposed to character sketches, which normally I'm very drawn to characters, so if a book is very character heavy, I typically like it. But for this was really a shock in how much I did like it, and so for that reason, this is book number 9. Up next is one of your guys' favorite movies. It's one that really kind of got the shaft at the box office. It was poorly promoted, but it's a great movie. It has a cult following. It is another DreamWorks film. My number 8 art book you should buy is The Art of Rise of the Guardians. This book is so cool. I've talked about the spine on this book, but you know, they have different shapes and colors that represent each of the Guardians, and it's just so simple that everything flows from that. So they focus on these characters in this book. The art is awesome. It really makes me want to go back and watch this movie every time I look at this because it's just, you know, I'm a sucker for anything childhood and memories and nostalgia, and are you kidding me? Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, I'm all over this. All right, my number 7 art book is another duo art book. This is The Art of Blue Sky Studios Rio, featuring a carnival of art from Rio and Rio 2. So this is an art book that focuses on both of those movies, which is fine because for the most part they're set in the same area, the characters don't really change. So it's interesting because you get to focus on the characters. We see them initially, how they were developed, and then we move from movie 1 to movie 2 and look at those characters. What I really love about this art book is that it focuses on non-humans, namely birds. So if you're interested in studying, you know, bird anatomy or animal anatomy, this book is just such a treasure trove for you. From an animation standpoint, I don't think there's going to be anything better. And for that reason, I really liked it. I love the location, I love the jungle, I love the city of Rio de Janeiro, along with the characters. I just thought it was just really, really well done. And props to Blue Sky for that because it made the list. Number 6 is another Blue Skies book. It is actually The Art of Blue Sky Studios. So you might see a little bit of the Rio stuff in this book, but that doesn't mean you should buy one over the other because they're just completely different animals. Get it? Anyways, this book is so cool. I've noticed that studios are starting to do this. DreamWorks has one, Mason has that book, I'm really jealous. But this one focuses on the catalog of Blue Sky Studios films. And so it's just a mini art book for each one of their films. We get to see, you know, interviews from the directors and people involved in production and sketches and designs. It's not as, you know, encompassing as a normal art book, but it's enough that if you didn't have the art books for those other movies or they don't exist, this is perfect. And You know, I just love how big this book is compared to, you know, like here's the Art of Rio. You know, they're just different, completely different beasts. This one is, you know, thousands of pages long. It never ends, but I don't want it to end, so I like that. I'm interested to see, you know, 10 years from now they'll put out volume 2, which is, you know, the movies from, you know, 2013 on, 2014 on. But yeah, I love this book. It's so cool. You get to see the evolution of the studio at the same time, which you don't really get to see in other art books. It's more of like a pinpoint in time regarding one movie, but this you really see the evolution of the studio from start to finish. All right, we are now in the top 5. These are the big kahunas. You gotta own these ones for sure. Especially if, you know, you could only purchase 5. I would buy these 5. So number 5 is Magic Color Flair, The World of Mary Blair. So this is actually an art book that's more of a catalog from the art exhibit, the Mary Blair art exhibit that was at the Walt Disney Family History Museum. There is another art book which is called The Art and Flair of Mary Blair. Out of those two, I liked this one more because I just felt there was more art. Yes, there's history in this, so you are gonna get to learn about her life story and whatnot. But since this features, you know, all the art that was in the exhibit, like nothing is lacking. There's overlap in both of the books, but I just was drawn to this one a ton. It's very visual, it's beautiful. You get to see things that you wouldn't see in other places because those pieces are only in this exhibit. That exhibit is now no longer at the Walt Disney Family History Museum, but you can still explore it through this book. Number 4, this is animation, kind of video game animation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the only video game book that I own, which is Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia. So this is kind of like the Art of Blue Sky Studios in the fact that it's talking about a franchise or a studio over its time period. This is talking about all the Zelda games over the course of, you know, 25 years. This celebrated the 25th anniversary of Zelda. Really, really cool. I love this book. You get to see art from, you know, the 80s, the 90s, these early video games. And what I like is each game doesn't necessarily have to stick too strongly to the style of the previous game, and so they get to have fun redesigning these characters. We see so many variations of Link and Zelda, are you kidding me? You know, from Wind Waker to Twilight Princess, there's so much variation in the design and the art. And this book is so cool. It has a lot of history and detail. It has a timeline for those of you who are confused at what is the official timeline of the Zelda games. Supposedly this is it. Really cool. I love this book. This is one that I would go to just all the time just to look at because I love Zelda. Okay, so book number 3, these are the top 3 art books that you must have, is of course The Art of Frozen. If you don't know what Frozen is, where have you been? Because it has taken over the world. Frozen really is just one of the most iconic movies of this generation. It has made over $1 billion in the box office. Let It Go is incessantly in our ears. It's just a cultural phenomenon, and for that reason, I think you should own this book. The art is breathtaking. It features lots of different, you know, Disney artists that are very famous nowadays. And what I love about living in this day and age is that artists are definitely prominently recognized for their work, even if it's in Viz Dev or just character design. People know who they are and they are able to get kind of the respect and the love that they deserve. I feel like 20 years ago we may not have known who was the character designer for a lot of these, or you know, who we might have known like the lead animators and whatnot, but regarding, you know, behind the scenes stuff and previs, it doesn't really happen. But with these books, you know, all of these books, you get to see who these people are who are involved in making the films. And what's great is if there's someone that really speaks to you, you can go and look them up online, follow their blog, buy their art on Etsy or, you know, wherever they're selling. I am particularly a fan of Brittany Lee, who designed a lot of the clothing and hairstyles in the movie, and I've purchased, you know, some of her art as a result. So I love this book. I love seeing, this movie has been in development so many years, and so you really get to see a lot of the iterations. One thing I do feel this book lacks is that we know there's been lots of iterations, but they really didn't focus on some of like the old stuff that was cut and then they restarted. This is more from like, we restarted, here's our starting point. So it's, take it for what it is. Number 2, this is one of my favorite books in my collection. It is a Snow White book. It's called The Fairest one of all, The Making of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This book is incredible. It's written by J.V. Kaufman, and it's really just a historia, just a deep dive into every little nook and cranny about making this iconic movie, the very first animated feature film by Disney. Oh, it's so good. It's very text heavy, lots of information, lots of history, lots of interviews. But for that reason, I love it because I feel so much more well-informed. But at the same time, the art is very prominent. It's not like they, you know, because there's so much text that they had to take back and cut out some of the art. No way, Jose, there is plenty to go around because, like you know, this book is huge. I love this book. There's lots of sketches and art and development. We get to see different iterations of Snow White and all these people. Like, just look at this cover. This cover is so whimsical and magical. I mean, this is one of the original movie posters, and I love it. So I'm really excited for more of the books that J.B. Kaufman's coming out with, but this, so good. We are almost done. This has been quite a journey, and I'm pretty sure you guys know which one I'm going to be talking about. It's no surprise. It is the Art of Tangled. This is bar none, hands down, the best art book I have ever come across. I love this book. I adore this book. J'adore l'art de Tangled. That's my horrible French. But yes, this book, it features, it's one of the last Disney movies that Glenn Keane worked on, and he is just a Disney legend, an animation legend. He's so incredible. Originally was slated to direct this film, but due to health complications had to step down. But still, I mean, this is like the Glenn Keane show in this book. And this movie, I love Tangled. It's so cute, it's so amazing. Just all the parts work together so well. Okay, this girl has 100 feet of hair. It's amazing. So you really get to see how they worked with hair, how they worked with clothes, and developed all these people, all these characters that are so iconic. I love it, I love it, I love it. This is the #1 art book that you need to own. Alright guys, there you have it. That is my art book collection, the top 10 art books that you must own. I can't wait what the next year of art books brings. There's so many more amazing, great ones out there. And definitely let me know in the comments, what is your top 10 list? Or what is your top 10 wish list? Maybe you don't own any, but you would like to own any. And I really want to hear, so put that in the comments below. I will read them, I will comment. And like this video if you like art books, right? Who doesn't? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Morgan, and this is the Rotoscopers YouTube.